Part 1, First Contact Gone Wrong. The quantum engines of the ESS Dauntless hummed at low power as Captain Dominic Blackwood studied the holographic display showing the surface of Kepler 667c. The newly established research outpost hadn't reported in for 3 standard days, and something about the situation made his combat-honed instincts tingle. Thermal signatures detected in Grid Sector 7, Lieutenant Park reported from her station. Multiple large bioforms, sir. Nothing matching known colonial patterns. Dominic's fingers drummed against the arm of his command chair. After 15 years in Earth Special Operations Command, he'd learned to trust his gut. Deploy recon drones. I want eyes on that sector before we commit any ground teams. The bridge crew worked in efficient silence as the drones descended through the planet's thick atmosphere. The first visual feeds showed a nightmare scenario. The research outpost's perimeter had been breached, its reinforced walls torn open like paper. Life signs? Dominic asked, already knowing the answer. None detected within the compound, sir. Park's voice was steady, professional. But the bioforms are converging on a position 2 kilometers east. They appear to be pursuing something, or someone. The drone feed shifted, focusing on a lone figure sprinting through the dense alien vegetation. Even from this distance, the being's distinctive silver-tinted skin and flowing white hair marked them as Lemurian, one of the advanced species humanity had recently made contact with. Magnification, Dominic ordered, leaning forward. The Lemurian was female, wearing the remains of what appeared to be research gear. She moved with impossible grace despite her obvious exhaustion, staying just ahead of the massive shapes crashing through the undergrowth behind her. Sir, Park's voice carried an edge of urgency. Those creatures, they match no known species in our database, but their hunting patterns suggest pack-level intelligence. They're hurting her. Dominic had seen enough. Prep the combat shuttle. I'm going down. Captain, his XO, Commander Rivera, stepped forward. Regulations state dash. Regulations don't account for everything, Antonio. Dominic was already moving toward the lift. You have the bridge. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, follow first contact protocols and notify command. The combat shuttle's engines roared to life as Dominic sealed his powered armor. The matte black surface absorbed light, its enhanced systems linking with his neural implants. He'd designed this suit himself, incorporating lessons learned from a dozen campaigns. Target is approaching the eastern ridgeline. Park's voice came through his comm. Creatures are maintaining pursuit distance. Wait, new biosignatures. They're coordinating with another group to cut off her escape route. Drop point? Dominic asked, checking his weapons. The mass driver rifle was loaded with specialized rounds, designed to take down large predators without causing undue suffering. Ridgeline intersection, Mark 7-3. You'll beat them there by about 40 seconds. The shuttle's bay doors opened, revealing the alien landscape below. Without hesitation, Dominic stepped into empty air, his armor's gravitic systems controlling his descent. He landed in a crouch, systems already mapping the terrain and tracking multiple approaching signatures. The Lemurian woman burst through the vegetation moments later, her silver eyes widening at the sight of him. She spoke rapidly in her native tongue, the universal translator in his suit struggling to keep up. Behind, Deathstalkers, must run. Dominic's motion trackers lit up as the first of the creatures emerged. They were nightmares made flesh, each easily twice his size, with multiple rows of eyes and chitinous armor that seemed to drink in light. Their movement spoke of terrible intelligence. Get behind me, he said, his translator converting the words to Lemurian. To his surprise, she complied immediately, perhaps recognizing something in his stance that spoke of capability. The Deathstalkers formed a semicircle, their mandibles clicking in patterns that suggested communication. Dominic's combat systems analyzed their movements, identifying weak points in their natural armor. "I am Captain Dominic Blackwood of the Earth Special Operations Command," he broadcast in multiple frequencies. "This being is under my protection. Withdraw." The creature's response was immediate and violent. Two launched themselves forward while others moved to flank. Dominic's rifle barked, the specialized rounds finding joints and sensor clusters with surgical precision. One Deathstalker fell, its legs twitching, but the others pressed their attack with renewed fury. "Your kind," the Lemurian woman spoke behind him, her translator now functioning properly. "You fight these monsters?" Dominic's armor whined as he sidestepped a massive claw, his backup weapon, a plasma cutter, slicing through chitinous armor. "We fight whatever threatens those who need protection." The battle became a deadly dance. The Deathstalkers were incredibly fast, their coordinated attacks speaking of hive mind-like intelligence. But Dominic had spent his career preparing for exactly these kinds of situations. His armor systems adapted to their attack patterns, his weapons finding vulnerable points with increasing accuracy. "I am Nissa Vorthel," the Lemurian said, her voice carrying a note of wonder as she watched him systematically dismantle creatures her people had feared for generations. "Chief xenobiologist of the Lemurian Science Academy. These beings, they destroyed our joint research station. My colleagues." "We'll deal with that," Dominic promised, his plasma cutter severing a Deathstalker's primary sensory cluster. "But first, we need to survive this." The remaining creatures suddenly pulled back, reforming their circle at a greater distance. Their behavior had changed, what started as predatory aggression had shifted to something else. Were they studying him? "Captain," Nissa's voice carried urgent warning. "They're calling for reinforcements. I can feel their subsonic communications. We need to dash." The ground beneath them erupted as an even larger Deathstalker burst from hiding. Dominic's armor screamed warnings as massive claws closed around him, but instead of crushing, the creature simply held him up, its multiple eyes studying him with terrible intelligence. What happened next would change everything he thought he knew about these beings, about this planet, and about the true nature of the threat they all faced. Continue to Part 2. Let me know if you'd like to see how the story develops. Part 2, The Hunter Becomes Prey. The Deathstalker's grip remained firm but not crushing as its compound eyes studied Dominic. Through his armor sensors, he detected complex patterns of neural activity, far beyond what a simple predator should possess. "They're not just animals," Nissa breathed, her silver eyes wide with realization. "The subsonic patterns, their language. Complex, structured communication." Before Dominic could respond, his armor's neural interface caught fragments of something impossible, images, concepts, warnings. The Deathstalker was trying to communicate. "My suit's AI is detecting attempted data transmission," he said, remaining perfectly still. "Can your xenobiological expertise make sense of this?" Nissa stepped closer, her silver-tinted skin seeming to shimmer as she focused her natural empathic abilities. "They're afraid. Not of us, but of something else. Something that hunts them." The massive creature slowly lowered Dominic to the ground, its movements now almost gentle. The other Deathstalkers had formed a protective circle around them, their previous aggression replaced by what seemed like reverence. "The research station," Dominic said, pieces clicking into place. "They weren't attacking it. They were trying to protect it from something else." "Correct." Nissa's voice trembled. "The real predators came from above. The Deathstalkers tried to warn us, but we didn't understand. We thought they were the threat." A distant sonic boom made the ground shudder. Dominic's armor sensors detected multiple objects entering the atmosphere at high velocity. The Deathstalker's reaction was immediate, their subsonic communications reaching a fever pitch. "They're coming," Nissa translated, her hand finding Dominic's armored forearm. "The Void Hunters. They consume everything, matter, energy, even consciousness itself. The massive Deathstalker that had held Dominic suddenly pressed its forehead against his helmet. Through his neural interface came a flood of information, images of crystalline ships that absorbed light, of entire ecosystems being devoured, of a desperate plan developed over generations. "They've been preparing," Dominic said in awe. "These beings, they're not just predators. They're guardians. They've been protecting this planet, waiting for someone who could help them fight back." "But why you?" Nyssa asked, though her silver eyes suggested she already knew the answer. "Why humans?" "Because we're predators too," Dominic replied, his armor systems already integrating the Deathstalker's tactical data. "But we hunt for more than survival. We hunt to protect." The crystalline ships became visible through the cloud cover, geometric shapes that seemed to bend reality around them. The Deathstalkers moved closer, their massive forms creating living shields around Dominic and Nyssa. "My ship," Dominic activated his comm, "Commander Rivera, are you seeing this?" "Affirmative, Captain," Rivera's voice was tense. "Multiple unknown vessels, unlike anything in our database. They're deploying some kind of energy web over the planet's surface." Through his neural link with the Deathstalker, Dominic understood their desperate gambit. The Void Hunters feed on energy, but they can be overwhelmed. The Deathstalkers have been accumulating bioenergetic charges in underground nodes for centuries. They just needed someone with the technology to trigger them properly. Nyssa's eyes widened. "Your armor's neural interface, it could synchronize with their network. But the energy surge, it would be devastating." "To the Void Hunters, yes." Dominic began interfacing his armor's systems with the Deathstalker's biological network. "To us, well, we'll find out." The first Void Hunter ship descended, its crystalline surface seeming to drink in the very light around it. Tendrils of dark energy reached for them, but the Deathstalkers moved as one, their chitinous armor now glowing with accumulated bioenergy. "Whatever happens," Dominic said to Nyssa, "it's been an honor meeting you." Her silver eyes met his through his visor. "The honor is mine, Captain. My people thought we understood the galaxy. You've shown us how much more there is to learn." The Void Hunter's energy web began to constrict, but Dominic was ready. Through his neural link, he triggered the accumulated power of centuries, channeling it through his armor and into the Deathstalker's network. The world exploded in light. The Deathstalkers roared as one, their bodies becoming conduits for unimaginable energy. Dominic's armor screamed warnings as it channeled power that should have destroyed it instantly. But the Void Hunters had made one critical mistake: they had never faced prey that fought back with such coordination. Through the searing light and pain, Dominic felt Nyssa's hand still on his arm, her Lemurian biology somehow helping to stabilize the energy flow. The Void Hunters' ships began to crack, their energy-absorbing surfaces overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of power being released. As consciousness began to fade, Dominic saw one last image through his neural link with the Deathstalkers, a future where humans, Lemurians, and these magnificent guardians stood together against the darkness of space. Then everything went white. Would you like to continue with Part 3, where we explore the aftermath and the deeper mysteries revealed by this alliance? Part 3, Understanding the Enemy. When consciousness returned to Dominic, he found himself in a crystalline chamber deep beneath the planet's surface. His armor had been removed, but surprisingly, he felt stronger than ever. Nyssa sat beside him, her silver skin glowing softly in the bioluminescent light. "The Deathstalkers brought us here," she explained, noticing his awakening. "Their ancestral nesting grounds. We've been changed by what happened up there." Dominic sat up, noticing strange new patterns flowing beneath his skin, similar to the Deathstalkers' neural pathways. The energy surge. It didn't just repel the Void Hunters. It transformed us, Nyssa confirmed. The Deathstalkers' biological network, we're part of it now. They're showing me their history, their purpose. It's extraordinary. The chamber walls pulsed with living light, responding to their presence. Ancient glyphs and diagrams appeared, telling a story that spanned millennia. Through their new connection, both Dominic and Nissa could understand it perfectly. They were created, Dominic said in awe. An ancient species faced the Void Hunters before. They engineered the Deathstalkers as living weapons, but something went wrong. Nissa moved closer, her presence in both physical and mental space bringing clarity to the shared vision. The Ancient Ones tried to control them through force, through dominance. They didn't understand that the key was partnership. A massive Deathstalker entered the chamber, the same one that had first recognized something special in Dominic. Its neural patterns now felt familiar, almost friendly. Through their enhanced connection, its name concept translated, Shield of Dawn. You honor us, Shield of Dawn, Nissa addressed it directly. Your kind has carried this burden alone for so long. The Deathstalker's response flowed through their shared consciousness, not alone now. The circle completes. Guardians unite. Dominic stood, his enhanced body moving with new grace. The Void Hunters will return. They've never failed to consume a target world before. They'll bring their full force. Good, Nissa said with unexpected fierceness. Because now we understand what we're truly fighting for. The Void Hunters don't just consume worlds, they consume possibility itself. Every planet they take removes another path of evolution, another chance for life to find new ways to thrive. Through their link, Shield of Dawn shared visions of other worlds, other species fighting the same battle. Some had succeeded in driving the Void Hunters back temporarily, but none had found a permanent solution. Until now, Dominic said, studying the ancient diagrams with new understanding. The Deathstalkers weren't just weapons, they were meant to be conduits. The Ancient One's mistake was trying to control the energy flow. We need to share it. Nissa's silver eyes lit up with revelation. The transformation we underwent, it's not just about communication. We can synchronize our biological energy with theirs, create a network powerful enough to affect space itself. Commander Rivera's voice crackled through an emergency communicator. Captain, if you're receiving this, the Void Hunters are returning. Our long-range sensors detect hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. Whatever you did drove them off temporarily, but they're coming back with everything they have. Shield of Dawn's neural patterns surged with determination. We stand ready. The hive networks awaken. All nests rise to defend. Throughout the crystalline chamber, more glyphs activated, revealing a vast underground complex of bioorganic technology. The Ancient Ones had built more than just weapons, they'd created the framework for a planetary defense system, waiting for the right combination of species to activate it. How long do we have? Dominic asked through the communicator. Hours at most, Rivera replied. I've contacted both Earth Command and the Lemurian High Council. They're sending everything they can, but it won't be enough, Nissa finished. Not fighting conventionally. But we're not fighting conventionally anymore. She turned to Dominic, her presence in their shared mental space radiating both determination and something more personal. Your people have a saying, the best defense is a good offense. The Void Hunters think they're coming to consume this world. Instead, they're walking into a trap generations in the making. Through their link with Shield of Dawn, they could feel thousands of Deathstalkers awakening across the planet, their hive networks humming with power. Each had been accumulating energy for centuries, waiting for this moment. We need to coordinate them all, Dominic said, his tactical mind already formulating strategies. Not just the Deathstalkers, but every ship, every weapon our people can bring. One perfect synchronized strike. Nissa's hand found his, their enhanced biology creating sparks of energy where they touched. Then let's give them a battle they'll never forget. Show them that some prey bites back. As they began preparations for humanity's greatest battle, Dominic reflected that he'd come to this planet expecting to rescue someone from monsters. Instead, he'd found allies, purpose, and perhaps something even more precious in the silver eyes of a Lemurian xenobiologist who was as transformed by these events as he was. The Void Hunters were coming to consume their world. They would find instead that this world, and its unlikely alliance of humans, Lemurians, and Deathstalkers, was ready to consume them. Would you like to continue with Part 4, where we see this unprecedented alliance put to the test? Part 4, Bonds Forged in Fire. The underground command center thrummed with energy as Dominic, Nyssa, and Shield of Dawn coordinated their forces. Through their enhanced connection, they could feel the Void Hunters approaching, a creeping darkness that threatened to devour everything in its path. Earth Defense Fleet in position, Commander Rivera reported through the quantum link. 27 ships, backed by the Lemurian Stellar Guard. But these readings, the Void Hunters' fleet is massive. Dominic studied the holographic display, his transformed biology allowing him to process tactical data at unprecedented speeds. Numbers won't matter if our plan works. Status on the planetary network? Nyssa's fingers danced over crystalline controls, her silver skin reflecting the bioluminescent light. Deathstalker hives are synchronized. The ancient defense grid is accepting our modifications. But Dominic. She turned to him, concern evident in her silver eyes. The energy required for what we're attempting, it could burn out our new abilities. Maybe more. Through their shared mental space, Shield of Dawn projected confidence, sacrifice acceptable. Survival of all paramount. There's something else, Nyssa continued, moving closer to Dominic. The Void Hunters. I'm detecting patterns in their approach. They're not just coming to feed. They're afraid. Dominic felt it too, through their enhanced senses, they could taste the Void Hunters' fear like metallic static. We hurt them last time. Showed them they're not invincible. But fear makes them more dangerous. The first wave of crystalline ships entered the atmosphere, their surfaces bending light in impossible ways. Earth and Lemurian vessels engaged immediately, but their weapons seemed to pass through the Void Hunters without effect. Energy weapons useless, Rivera reported, his voice tight. They're adapting to conventional attacks. Ground teams report multiple breach attempts. Wait, something's wrong. They're not attacking population centers. Because they're not here to feed, Dominic realized, the pieces clicking into place. They're here to eliminate a threat. Us. This combination of human, Lemurian, and Deathstalker biology, it terrifies them. Through their link, Shield of Dawn shared ancient memories, first ones created us to fight. But you complete us. Make us more. Void Hunters fear evolution, fear change. Nyssa's hand found Dominic's, their enhanced biology creating cascading waves of energy where they touched. Then let's show them why they're right to fear us. Dominic gave the command, and the planet itself seemed to come alive. Thousands of Deathstalkers emerged from hidden hives, their chitinous armor glowing with accumulated power. The ancient defense grid activated, crystalline towers rising from beneath the surface to create a web of energy. All ships, fall back to secondary positions, Dominic ordered. Let them think they have us cornered. The Void Hunters took the bait, their massive fleet descending in what they thought was a killing stroke. Their dark energy tendrils reached out, ready to consume everything in their path. Instead, they found themselves trapped. The Deathstalkers moved as one, their synchronized energy creating a containment field that the Void Hunters couldn't escape. Earth and Lemurian ships added their power to the grid, following the precise patterns Dominic had planned. Now, Nyssa commanded, her voice carrying through both conventional channels and their shared mental space. Everything we have. Dominic felt the power surge through him, through Nyssa, through every connected being on the planet. It was agony and ecstasy, destruction and creation combined. The Void Hunters tried to absorb the energy, but it was too much, too pure, too alive. Their crystalline ships began to crack, dark energy turning in on itself. But something unexpected happened. Instead of being destroyed, the Void Hunters began to transform. Through their enhanced senses, Dominic and Nissa watched in awe as the creatures of darkness evolved, their very nature changing as they were forced to adapt or die. The Deathstalker's power wasn't just destroying them, it was changing them at the fundamental level. "They're becoming something new," Nissa whispered, her grip on Dominic's hand tightening. "We're not just defeating them, we're saving them from themselves." The transformed Void Hunters rose into space, their ships now glowing with internal light rather than drinking it. Through their shared consciousness, a new understanding passed between all species involved. They had not just won a battle, they had changed the course of evolution itself. As the energy surge faded, Dominic turned to Nissa, seeing his own exhaustion and wonder reflected in her silver eyes. "Still think humans are just primitive warriors?" Her laugh was like music, even through their fatigue.